Financial advisor states Ivan Toney could have to sacrifice £5 million in tax if he wants to leave Saudi Arabia and return to the Premier League. Songwriter wants paying for Spurs' use of iconic song before matches. Thomas Frank's 3 key decisions ahead of the Arsenal clash, and an international roundup. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Okay, let's get into it. Former Manchester City financial advisor Stefan Bolson exclusively told Football Insider that Ivan Toney could have to sacrifice £5 million in tax savings to return to the Premier League. It is believed that Ivan Toney is happy in Saudi despite the speculation around his future. Speaking exclusively to Football Insider, Bolson said, "As I understand it, I don't think there's many ways around this. If he comes back to the UK, a lot of the tax savings that he's made by being in Saudi Arabia will disappear. The tax benefit of having played in Saudi for the period that he has, so I don't know how important that will be to him. But you are literally talking about millions of pounds, so to come back, he can expect to sacrifice millions." Bolson insisted Toney is unlikely to make this sacrifice by returning to the Premier League in a bid to make the England squad. "I mean, it could easily be £5 million difference," said Bolson. "So do you want to come back for 6 months or trying to play well for Everton or West Ham or Spurs? Spurs may be interested on loan, but do you want to come back and effectively pay £5 million to give yourself a shot? And it's only a shot at getting to the World Cup team, which is probably unlikely anyway. I mean, it's possible, but it's probably unlikely. You're paying £5 million and you don't get a refund if it goes wrong. So if you don't get in the squad and you don't get a refund, you're just literally sacrificing £5 million, and it's probably more, by the way." Toney has registered 41 goals and 8 assists in 59 appearances since joining Al Ahly. The Sun report that Tottenham are being chased for royalties after adopting Barry Manilow's song "Can't Smile Without You" and blasting it out before home games. Now one of the hit tune's 3-man writing team, a fan of North London rivals Arsenal, has threatened a legal battle and blasted Spurs for refusing to cough up. Jeff Morrow, who helped write it in 1975, branded the club ridiculous after turning down his requests for payments. He told The Sun, "I hope that Spurs would be willing to sit down and meet with me and discuss this, but they haven't been interested. What is really frustrating is Spurs won't accept they are using our song." Yahoo Sports state that Tottenham faced the toughest test of the Thomas Frank era so far when they play Arsenal on Sunday. The North London derby comes with the Gunners 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League and looking for a 4th straight win over Spurs. Frank's side do have the best away record in the league, are yet to be beaten on the road, and recorded a statement win over Man City at the Etihad in August. The Spurs boss has been keen to tweak from match to match at times, perhaps too much. The criticism has been that Frank has focused on nullifying the opposition more than maximising Spurs' strengths. With that in mind, here are the 3 key selection dilemmas for Frank to consider for the Arsenal trip. Udogie or Spence? Spurs' most balanced attacking displays this season have come with Udogie at left back. He played a key role in Spurs cruising past Copenhagen before the international break, combining really well with Wilson Odobert and Xavi Simons. That trio also impressed against Leeds in October. As a left-footer, Udogie brings more natural width and an overlapping option, creating the space inside. Johnson or Odobert? Brennan Johnson has been far from a regular starter this season, but he still has 4 goals to his name. Last season's top scorer has a knack for being in the right place at the right time, and there is probably no player Spurs would rather have running through on goal. There is no doubt in his clinical touch in front of goal, but the debate is whether he then contributes enough overall. Wilson Odobert is much more of a threat with the ball at his feet and more likely to make something happen out of nothing. He is more direct in taking on his man and he passes the eye test more than Johnson. The Frenchman, though, has scored only once this season. Until or Richarlison, Frank will be without Dominic Solanke and Randall Kolo-Muani against Arsenal. There is a possibility of a move to a 3-5-2 system used against PSG in the UEFA Super Cup, which would likely see Kudus used centrally. Even if that is the case, it is still probable that only one of Richarlison or Tell start. On current evidence, it is Tell who should be getting the minutes up front, even if he could find it tough physically against Arsenal's centre-backs. Richarlison started the season in strong form but has tailed off badly. He has looked tired and unconvincing in front of goal and has too often been keen to go to ground rather than holding up the ball as the team need. Kevin Danso and Pedro Porro became the latest Spurs players to qualify for next summer's World Cup after Tuesday night's international action. Centre-back Danso endured a dramatic night knowing his Austria side had to avoid defeat at home to Bosnia-Herzegovina to secure their progress to the tournament finals for the first time since 1998 as winners of Group H. But after seeing the visitors take the lead, a goal which would have seen Bosnia-Herzegovina qualify instead, the hosts levelled 13 minutes from time to secure a 1-1 draw and cement top spot, thus earning a place on the plane to the USA, Canada and Mexico next year. Danso played the full game at the centre half. Porro, meanwhile, was an unused substitute for Spain as they made mathematically sure of their place at the tournament finals with a 2-2 home draw with Turkey. Spain were virtually assured of qualification before the game, but the share of the spoils ensured they finished top of Group E with 16 points. In other senior international action on Tuesday, Richarlison was an unused substitute for Brazil in their 1-1 draw with Tunisia in France, while on loan Yang Min-hyuk also remained on the bench for South Korea as they beat Ghana 1-0 at home. Both were friendly matches. After helping Croatia qualify for the World Cup on Friday, on loan defender Luka Vuskovic was back with his country's under-21s for their European Championship qualifier away to Hungary. He captained the team across the 90 minutes and provided an assist for their second goal in a 2-0 win. And fellow defender Ashley Phillips, also on loan, played the last 12 minutes of England under-21's 4-0 win in Slovakia, while Aaron Maguire was on the bench for the Republic of Ireland's under-21s as they lost 4-0 in Andorra in qualifying for the same competition. Here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Not many stories around today. It's international break still, but the Premier League is back on Saturday. Oh, I can't wait, honestly. I hate international breaks. Anyway, let's get into the stories. Firstly, Ivan Toney. Is he going to really sacrifice £5 million to come and play at Tottenham or whoever it is? You know, a few sides interested, but Tottenham probably the most interested from what we're led to believe. Is he going to lose £5 million just to come back to England for 6 months and to try and force his way into Thomas Tuchel's squad? I can't see it. You know, I'm not sure Toney gets into that England squad. So if that's the main driver, is he going to look at that and think, you know, I might as well stay where I am? The club have come out and said, Al Ali anyway, that, you know, it's ridiculous. Toney's not going to be moving on in January, so this is probably a bit of a non-story, to be honest with you, but I thought I'd sing it in because people are still talking about it. I can't see this happening. I would have taken Toney on loan for 6 months, as long as wages could have been sorted out. Ridiculous amount of money. He gets paid a week. Spurs will not pay that, as we know, £400,000 a week. Nowhere near, they're going to get anywhere near that. So I think this is a bit of a non-starter, but I would have taken Toney for 6 months, but I know that kind of splits the fan base looking at people's opinions. But let's see how that goes. I'm sure this isn't the last we've heard of that one anyway. Can't Smile Without You. I've spoken about Can't Smile Without You before. I love the song. I like Barry Manilow. I'm not opposed to a bit of Barry Manilow. I just don't like the time it's played. If it's played before the game, I prefer a more upbeat song. I don't think it's right to play it before the game. Certainly afterwards, especially if we win, play it. Really good atmosphere at the semi-final against Bodo Glimt when they did play it before kick-off. Having said that, people waving their flags, but that wasn't the only song played. I just think you're playing uplifting music before the game, and then you go to Can't Smile Without You, and it's just It's a love song. It's a bit slower, so I prefer to see it played after after the match, especially if we win. But get down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you like Can't Smile Without You? Do you prefer it before or after a game? Let me know. The point of this story was one of the writers of the song, is claiming that Spurs basically owe him royalties for playing the song. I won't get into the legalities of that because I honestly don't know. Obviously, you have to have entertainment licenses. I don't know how they work. Somebody might be able to tell me in the comments how they work. But this guy is an Arsenal fan, one of the writers of this song, and saying that he wants money from Spurs for playing the song. I just wonder if he'd have the same opinion if he was a Tottenham fan. In fact, this guy's an Arsenal fan. Does that come into it? Who knows? Who knows? Right, Frank's 3 key big decisions versus Arsenal. So let's go to the first one. So is it going to be Odegaard or Johnson? For me, Wilson. Odegaard gets in over Brendan Johnson at the moment. Johnson scored a cracking goal for Wales, by the way, on international duty, but one swallow doesn't make a summer. But having said that, Johnson does know how to score goals. He hasn't had many minutes this season, yet he's still banged a few goals in. Wilson Odegaard only got the one. I just think against Arsenal, he's going to create a bit more, Wilson Odegaard, and get us further up the pitch with his dribbling. So I would personally go for Odegaard. Tell or Richarlison. I think Matisse Tell deserves a chance. Up front, I don't think Richarlison's done enough, personally, as our number 9, so I would give Matisse Tell the start over Richarlison in the number 9 position. And Udogie or Spence, personally, against Arsenal, I would be slinging Udogie in. I think, he gets us further up the pitch. I think he's built up a really good relationship with Wilson Odegaard. Whether he can overlap or just the general chemistry between the two, I would be playing Udogie in this game. So that would be my 3 out of those 6. But get down in the comments, let me know which 3 you would choose. And the international roundup, as we thought, Pedro Porro and Kevin Danso both qualified for next summer's World Cup. So that's great to see more Spurs players going to be joining the ones that had already qualified at next summer's World Cup in the USA, Canada and Mexico. It's going to be a football fest, and I suppose I better say congratulations to Scotland for qualifying. What a game last night for them. Huge moment for Scotland. But get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on all those stories today, or your feelings as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now, and give me a score prediction for the North London derby if you want to. And as always, come on you Spurs.